Welcome to Cryptids, Crypts and Coffee, the podcast where two awkward Brits talk about horror with a bunch of unsuspecting guests. I'm one of your hosts, Lou Yardley. I'm an indie horror author, and today I'm drinking a lovely coffee from Pact Coffee. It's a lovely subscription service, which I'm going to put links down below.
Oh, a potential sponsor and everything.
I know.
I love it.
If someone's going to send me free coffee, I want it.
Okay, I've had to write mine down in case I forget my own name. So, hello, I'm Janine Pipe, writer of several perfectly adequate short stories. And today I'm drinking a cup of tea. How boring is that? I thought it'd be very British, though. It's actually from Salem as well, from the museum in Salem, Massachusetts. Okay, today we are talking to one of the three most talented writers to come out of Maine, Joshua Marsella, and an incredible writing machine who dispels all the Jersey Shore stereotypes, Tim Meyer.
It's true.
Yes. Okay, and what are you guys drinking? Anything exciting?
I'm drinking pumpkin spice from Dunkin' Donuts in this nice, lovely mug that my wife bought from somewhere. I think TJ Maxx, but it's got pumpkins on the hand. Yeah.
Oh, see, my husband is going to be leaping through the computer screen at any moment because we have run out of Dunkin' Donuts pumpkin spice, and it was his most favorite coffee in the world.
I stock up year round. I buy boxes and boxes of K-Cup and just keep them in my garage, so I have a full year supply to get me through.
Nice. We would have done if we'd have been there this year, but we haven't been able to get to America this year, so never mind. What are you drinking, Joshua?
So this morning I am drinking New England coffee. It's pumpkin spice, and this is a mug that my wife bought at the grocery store. She bought this one and a Frankenstein one, and to kind of surprise me the other day, and I love it. I have another one that's really nice with a cemetery scene on it, but the label was all messed up, so the person on Etsy is sending me a replacement. So, but I'm using this one. I felt, pretty badass.
That is cool.
That's
definitely.
I have mug envy.
Yes, definitely. Mug envy. Okay. Are you guys ready to get started on some questions?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we thought because there's the four of us, we'll do it kind of round robin. So if I start with Joshua, if that's okay. What is the first horror movie that you can remember watching?
I have very good memories of this. I was around 5 years old, and we were living in Randolph at our old apartment. And my mom, I don't know if they rented it or if they owned the VHS of it, but it was the original Child's Play.
Whoa.
And, yeah, 5 years old, and tossed it all off. I was terrified. I mean, there's a lot of swearing, and it's almost like Chucky's like this domestic abuser. It's really weird. It had a lot of psychological freaking effects on me, but no, my mom, while we were watching it, I had a My Buddy doll, and she thought it'd be funny. Spray painted its hair orange, and then she stuck it inside the oven, and she told me, for some reason, it didn't even click in my head, but she said, can you go check on the cookies in the oven? Not even thinking, why would I be checking the cookies first of all? And I opened it up, and there it was in the oven, and I just about crapped my pants. But I became I think we ended up owning the VHS, and I became obsessed with that movie. I watched it. I mean, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's great. It's definitely way better. I think it's way better than any of the sequels. But I love that movie. It's great.
That is crazy.
We're hardcore up here in Maine. They get us in early. Rite of passage.
Oh my goodness me. Tim, what's the first one that you can remember?
Oh man, the earliest horror movie I think I ever watched was probably Jaws. I remember watching it on TV. It just happened to be on, and I remember just being terrified by it because growing up on the Jersey Shore, I'd spend my entire summers at the beach, and I think after that movie I didn't go in the water for at least 2.5 years. So Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just remember how like even for being on TV, I just remember how like violent that some of those death scenes were, especially when Quint gets it. It's like one of my all-time favorite scenes, and I love that movie. It's like the perfect movie. Not just like a horror movie, it's just like the perfect movie overall. So yeah, that's probably the earliest. That and I remember watching the It miniseries too
Okay.
when I was pretty young. And I have good memories of that too because I think I was like 8 maybe when I watched it, and my brother who's like 4 years younger than me was watching it as well.
Okay.
And I remember him being terrified by it.
I
And
think so.
there's like a scene you guys definitely remember when he like comes out of the drain in the shower when Eddie's in the shower, and like I remember 10 minutes after that, my dad was like, "Oh, it's time to take a shower," to my brother, and like he was in there, and all I heard was like just screaming because he was so petrified of taking the shower, and I was delighted by that. So.
Yeah. Excellent. Lou, what was your first?
I think I mentioned this last week when we talked to Cam. It was The Gate when I was about 9 or 10. I don't know if you remember The Gate, starring a very, very young Stephen Dorff.
Mm-hmm.
And they have that heavy metal album, and they unwittingly unleash a load of little tiny demons, which at the time I thought were terrifying, but now I think are really cute.
Yeah. You'd like to
I
take
want
one home
one.
with you now.
Yeah.
I can imagine you wanting
They're
one.
little snuggly demons.
Okay. Well,
What
for
about you,
me,
Janine?
yeah, we talked again about this last week. The first thing I can remember that frightened me was Ghostbusters.
Mm.
When I was probably about 5 or 6. And again, it was the famous scene in the library where you're like, oh, it's a nice little old lady. Wow, she's not a nice little old lady at all. And then I can remember being about 10 and watching Fright Night at a sleepover. And again, really enjoying it, but perhaps not fully understanding exactly all of the stuff that was going on. And I don't think I found it humorous at the time. And I can remember just being lying in bed and hearing the kind of scraping on the window and thinking that someone wanted to come in. But the first film I can remember really enjoying when I was about 12 was Terminator 2. I know that's not kind of strict horror, it's obviously more so, but it's that kind of genre. And I was absolutely obsessed with Terminator 2, and it's still one of my most favorite movies. Absolutely love that.
Great movie.
So yeah, that's the one I can remember like watching over. And I wasn't old enough to go to the movies to watch it because it was a 15 and I was only 12, and they were quite strict. You couldn't really sneak into the movies and things back then, so I had to wait for it to come out on VHS. And it was my 13th birthday that I got the video. And I think I wore it out because I just watched it so many times. Oh, it's great. And it got the soundtrack because it's got the Guns N' Roses on it and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, perfect film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. What was the first horror book that you can remember reading, Joshua?
Well, I actually found a copy of it recently. It was Caligula.
What is that? I need to read that.
It's about a vampire bunny and the dog. It's been a long time, but I actually just found this at Goodwill recently, and I had to have it. But also, I grabbed some of these ones really that stuck home with me was this one is Goosebumps, One Day at Horrorland, and The Haunted Mask, which is probably my all-time favorite Goosebumps book.
I think that's one of my favorites as well, actually.
Yeah, they obviously, Goosebumps hit me at the perfect time, and I remember we used to go down to Boothbay Harbor a lot. On my mom's boyfriend's, he had like a houseboat down there, and we spent like the weekend down there, and I did all I can to like scrounge for change and stuff so I could go up to this really awesome bookstore called Sherman's, and every time a new Goosebumps book would come out, I'd try to grab it and bring it home with me, and but I do remember in middle school, I actually took out it from the library because I saw it sitting there, and I had also, like Tim, seen. I was 6 years old when the miniseries went on TV, and I was terrified of it, but also it became an obsession of mine. And I really, really, really wanted to read the book. I remember taking the book out of the library, looking at it, brought it home, carried it with me for a few days, and I was like, there's no way in hell I'm ever going to read this freaking book. I'm like barely reading like, half of these books, kids' books, and I'm like, see the fine little print. I'm like, yeah. It was just great to hold it though. And I remember like the Tim Curry cover, with Pennywise on the front. And that's a memory I have going way back that, that book is something special to me. And I can, some of my earliest memories I have of that, even though I didn't read it until, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago or so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was a late read for me. Yeah.
Is that just because of the sheer size of it?
It's
to
very
be honest,
intimidating.
I used to only read about a book or two a year, mostly due to like anxiety and ADHD, and I'd get distracted very easily. So I'd start a book, put it down, forget about it, and I had a really hard time until like this past September. I finished book 4 of The Dark Tower, and I was halfway through it like 2 years before, right before my son was born, and I picked it back up, and I don't know, from then on something just clicked in my brain, and I just started reading 4 or 5 books a month, and I finished the Dark Tower series, and then I've been reading and reading and reading. But for most of my life, I really struggled to sit down and read through a whole book. So even like with Goosebumps, I'd read like half a book, and then I'd have to finish it later on. It was like quite an achievement for me to finish a book. So mostly I stuck with Stephen King for a lot of the time, because I just, he's like a main icon, and I grew up watching his movies like obsessively because they were always on TV all the time. But yeah, no, I took me a long time to read. It actually took me almost 6 months to read it, because I read like half of it, and then I picked it up again, and the second half of it I read really fast though. It just drew me right in. But yeah, so that's pretty much. Yeah, I'd have to go with Bunnicula was my earliest. I don't know. Did you guys ever read this one?
I've seen it, but I've never read it.
Yeah, and I don't think it was in the I don't think it was a big thing in the UK, because Glenn's spoken about that as well, and Cameron, but I don't think we had it over here.
Yeah,
no, I don't think I've seen it.
Came out 1979 was the original publication date, and it's about a house, like a rabbit in the house, and the dog and the cat they're kind of like worried about this rabbit. They think it might be a vampire because they see all kinds of weird things going on. It's really awesome.
Why not?
Definitely worth a read. I highly recommend it.
Okay, it does look right up your street, Lou. Actually,
I've got to track down a copy.
Tim, what was the first book that you can remember reading?
So
Horror.
Joshua and I are similar in age. So for me, I was obsessed with the Goosebumps books as well. I remember walking into like the Scholastic book fairs that we had over here, and just like cleaning house and just buying every Goosebumps book I could get my hand on. I want to say like one of the first ones I read was Say Cheese and Die, which I think is like book 4 of that series. And there you go.
Yeah.
There's the visual component. Yeah, I have all my copies, but they're in the other room in my library. But yeah, so I burned through all those, and R.L. Stine's other books, like he had like Fear Street, that series I was really into. Yeah. And he wrote this other series. There's only 2 books. It was called The Beast. I don't know if you guys have ever read those books, but I was obsessed with those. They weren't really hard. They were more like time travel. It was about these 2 kids who went to like this amusement park, and there was this ride called The Beast, and when they went on it, it like put them back in time, but at that amusement park, and they had to like solve this mystery and get back to our time. Like I was obsessed with those. I read them like over and over and over and over and over again. So I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff and you can find copies of those 2 books, they're fantastic.
Sounds a little bit Ray Bradbury-esque.
Yeah.
A bit like, yeah,
it was kind of Ray Bradbury-esque. And then then I graduated to like Michael Crichton novels, like I burned through the Jurassic Park books, Congo, a lot of those. And I was also a big Peter Benchley fan. Like in my early teens, I loved all of his books. Again, shark books and all aquatic horror. which I love. So yeah, those are like my earliest memories of reading.
Cool. Lou, what were your first books that you can remember?
I got started with some of the point horror ones by R.L. Stein. I think the first one was probably The Beach House.
Hmm.
For some reason, that one's just stuck with me. And then after point horror, I graduated to Stephen King quite quickly and Salem's Lot. But like you, Joshua, I didn't touch it for years. But I just took one look at that book and it's like that thick, and I was like,
Good book too.
Mind you, Salem's Lot's quite thick as well, isn't it? Thicker than because I recently started reading it again, and it's bigger than I remembered.
Yeah, I think it's the hardcover. I think is around three something. It's definitely not one of his longer books, but I mean, that doesn't say much.
Big enough.
It's not like the Brick.
Pages,
No, it's not like it or The Stand or anything like that. But it was enough. It was longer than I'd remembered. What was the first King that you can remember, Lou?
Salem's Lot.
Was Salem?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so because I'm a bit older than you guys, only a little bit, but and we didn't really have Goosebumps over here. It wasn't really a thing for quite a long time, actually. So I didn't read those as a child. So the first horror that I can remember reading was Salem's Lot, but I was only 10. So again, I don't remember much about it, but we spoke to Cameron about this last week. My dad had a collection. It was 3-in-1, and it was Salem's Lot, The Omen, and Rosemary's Baby, all in a beautiful hardback. And I wish that I still had it, or my dad had it, but I don't know what happened to it. So I read all of those, but I don't honestly know that I understood much at all. So the first one that I can remember really enjoying and understanding was actually Jaws, when I was about 12, and that kind of got me into that whole and the fact that they were all American as well. A lot of the horror that I read as a teenager was American, and I absolutely loved Jaws. Then I went on to point horrors, and again I've actually got my original point horrors, which is amazing, and I've reread some of those recently. And then I carried on with King. I read it probably when I was about 13, 14, and just the scene with when they all have sex, I can remember just being like, what? My God,
am I supposed to do that?
Exactly, because it was that kind of age and being like, she did that with all of them. Oh my word.
That was all our reactions, I think.
Yeah.
There's a sexy bit in Jaws as well, but like sort of reading it at about 12, being like, oh, should I be reading this? Oh dear. Okay, brilliant, thank you. Right, let's go on to favourites then. So Joshua, what's your favourite horror movie? Something that you can watch over and over and over?
I would probably have to say the original Pet Sematary is probably my absolute favorite. I watched it very young. It used to be on TV all the time. I remember the scariest aspect of it to me was probably Zelda. That was just, I used to have nightmares about that when she'd come at the screen, and and I didn't find out till years later, actually just a couple years ago, that it was actually a guy playing that part.
Yeah.
And it was so disturbing. But yeah, I remember watching it on, like, we had like TNT and USA and all these basic cable channels, and it was on all the time. And actually tonight we're going to there's an on-site cinema event going on where in the woods where they filmed the movie, the actual cemetery scene, they're going to be projecting on like a projector screen, I guess, the original Pet Sematary movie in that spot.
Amazing.
Up in Ellsworth. So we're going to go up. I think because the house is a little bit further down the street, it's about a 2-hour drive from here. We're going to go a little bit earlier, check out the house, and then go back and meet at that. It's like at the Elks Lodge, and then it's in the woods right behind it. So it's going to be like 50 degrees tonight, though, so it's going to be pretty cold. But I'm excited. I can't wait. I love that movie. Like, so good. So good.
Definitely.
What did you think of the remake? Oh, sorry.
We saw it in theaters, and to be honest, I was a little, I don't know. I mean, it was an all right adaptation, but to be honest, it just didn't do it for me. I didn't like how the girl talked so much, and it was like him combing her hair in the bathtub and all these weird little liberties they took with it. It just didn't do it for me. There was no. I don't get creeped out by kids in movies. Like I loved. I think it was Sinister. I think it was called, with Ethan Hawke.
Oh, that's a
Love that
brilliant
movie.
movie. Love that movie.
Up until the end when all the kids come in and they're like,
Yeah.
it was scary. That totally threw it off for me. So Gage Creed in the original, that was perfect. Like he was a little kid. He wasn't, I don't know what it was about that kid, but
Yeah.
he could pull it off. But
Yeah.
for some reason, I don't know, just kids aren't scary to me like they, anymore. So yeah, the original, it was okay though. The new one, I mean, I've watched it a few times just because it's, a King movie.
So you say kids don't scare you, but do you feel differently about the movie now that you're a dad?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I think reading the book now would be a lot more difficult for me.
Yeah.
My youngest son is about the same age. I can't remember how old Gage was, but he was walking, obviously, and my son, he's just now like running around and walking full time. But yeah, I mean, I read it before I had kids, and I remember being brought to tears a few times just because he was so good at, and he wasn't graphic with it, but the way he did it, you know what I mean, in the book really like was powerful, and you could tell he was writing with all he had, and that's why it's one of the books that scares him the most that he's written, because it actually happened to him. Not that his kid was hit, but he almost was hit, and it was like based off of real emotion. And yeah, absolutely. I don't even know if I could read it, but it would probably be a whole different experience for me now. Like, the imagery of his dead son and everything is just really tough, So for sure.
Does make a difference, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Tim, what I dread to think what yours is going to be. What can you watch over and over?
Over and over again. I've probably watched The Thing the most. That movie is just amazing. But I probably would go with In the Mouth of Madness, though. That's like one movie that I can literally watch on repeat all day and just not be bored with it. In fact, I was actually thinking about watching it later on today. It's just the perfect movie for me because it's like cosmic horror, which is like in my wheelhouse. And I love Sam Neill. He's great. Yeah. And John Carpenter just knows how to make a good horror movie. So it's got everything in it, and I don't know. It's also about a writer too. So that's always attractive for writers. So yeah, I would go with In the Mouth of Madness for sure.
Have you seen something fairly recently that you think could be added into your rotation of watching things over and over?
I've watched Hereditary probably like 6 times since it's come out. Yeah, I love that movie. It's just like the perfect movie. It's got everything going for it, and it's like a smart horror movie too. And there's just a lot of like hidden Easter eggs in it that makes for a good repeat watching.
The unpopular opinion, I hated the end of Hereditary.
See, I love
so
it.
much,
I love
so
it.
much that I don't know that I could watch it again.
I think you should watch it again because you might have a better appreciation for it once you like see like all these little clues that they put in there. I actually, each time I watch it, I think I love it even more than the first time I watched it.
What also helps is watching like YouTube videos describing what you're seeing, because a lot of it you don't even realize, like from the very first scene, like on it, there's so much going on in every single shot that if you don't really pay attention, and that's why I've watched a few, because I'm with Tim. The first time I watched it, it was just like I don't know what to think about, and I bought the Blu-ray like that day, and it was free on Prime, but I was like, I'm buying this Blu-ray. I want it. I bought it, and I've watched it so many times, but I've also watched a lot of the explanation videos and stuff, which is a big help because you see how in depth it goes to get this story told, and it is intense. It's really
I
impressive.
love the story and I love the film right up until the weird ending, and I was like, "Fuck you, no, I don't want that ending at all."
Oh man, yeah, I thought it was perfect, that ending. I love it.
Well,
Well,
I don't like things that are a bit open as well. I like my endings done and dusted, no discussion. I want to know what happened.
I got you.
Lou, favorite movie that you can watch over and over?
I've got quite a few, so I'm going to give you a list.
Okay.
I've come prepared. I've written them down. First one, the whole Evil Dead trilogy. I could just watch them over and over again because Bruce Campbell is God.
Yeah.
Um,
Fair enough.
Child's Play, and actually most of the sequels as well, even when they got ridiculous.
I love them.
Pumpkinhead,
Yay.
but
Good.
not so much the sequels. So I just like the first one. And a newer one for me is The Witch, which kind of has the same kind of vibe as Hereditary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
the weird thing is, the first time I watched it, I hated it. So I had no idea what was going on. And I wasn't letting myself pay attention to it, so I was kind of scrolling through Twitter while I was watching. So then I thought, no, I'm going to give it a proper watch now. Turned all the lights off, put my phone away, and yeah, then it worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've seen it like a dozen times.
Oh wow.
That's awesome.
So you would get on well with Jason watching the whole series of things. He loves doing that. Especially Children of the Corn. He really enjoyed that one.
I don't know why he subjects himself to that.
I don't know. It makes for funny viewing though for the
Yeah.
rest of us. So.
That is true.
Okay, can anyone guess what my favorite movie is?
Dog Soldiers.
Dog soldiers.
Dog Soldiers. I don't know how many times I've watched it, and every time I just laugh. I just love it so much. And I'm not that bothered by clever horror movies. You know, I can watch clever horror and be impressed. And I can watch scary horror and be like, ooh, but I like a bit of funny horror. So Dog Soldiers is just perfect. And then a series of films, if we're doing that as well, that I actually really enjoy. Well, the Final Destination films, I
Yes.
absolutely loved them. And again, okay, they're not all as good as each other, but most of them in that series are really good fun. Some of the death scenes,
Yeah, I
especially in the
love
first
those.
couple, the death scenes are like fantastic. You've got like people being cut in two, and like people like, and you see it coming. So they've got all the foreshadowing and stuff. But like when the windows come down and the heads and stuff, it's just brilliant. So I've watched most of them at least 2 or 3 times. I love them. They're really good.
Those are fun.
Good fun. That's
And
it. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
from that kind of era, Scream as well. I love them.
Scream's a funny one, isn't it? Because it's almost it's like Marmite. Do you have Marmite in America? Ever had Marmite? You two are like, whoa, what's Marmite?
Is that the stuff you eat?
It's like a
Yeah.
sandwich filling, but it's
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like malty kind of. It's an unusual taste. So in England, you
It's
say things
delicious.
like Marmite. Yeah, it's delicious. But you either love it or you hate it. And I think that's like with horror fans with Scream. They either really like it or you liked it and then you don't like it.
My buddy from Wales, he used to eat Marmite all the time, and I'm like, what the hell are you eating? It smells like shoe polish or something. It's awful.
Yeah, I
And,
can
he
imagine
loved it.
that you
So
guys
I
would be
can
a bit like,
understand it's a regional thing.
definitely. So I do like Scream as well. I must admit, I've watched all the movies, the TV series, all that kind of stuff. But I know that not everybody likes it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we got to show a little love for the Halloween series as well.
Of course,
Yes.
Still going strong, but
yeah.
they used to show it on every Halloween around. I remember being a kid and having vague memories of getting ready to trick or treat, watching Halloween, and then on VH1 they would show the full Thriller music video.
Yes.
And I used to watch that like that's like a little horror spectacle too. And that before you could like have YouTube and all that stuff. That was always I remember like getting ready to watch it and Halloween was terrifying and I just remember I loved it. It was so some of the death scenes were just so intense. I don't know why we like punished ourselves like that, because I was like a real scaredy cat kid. Like I'd be crying in my bedroom because we watched like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and I didn't want to go to sleep, but we still watched them all the time.
Yeah, I was about 10 or 11 when the first time I saw Nightmare on Elm Street as well. I can remember that, but it didn't frighten me. I don't know why. I can remember the bit on the ceiling, like when she's in the hospital and there's all this stuff, and I was just like, nah, that's kind of cool. I guess that's why we're like we are now, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
It explains a lot.
It does explain a lot. Okay, moving on to Halloween then. Have you got oh no, actually, sorry, we were doing books first. A favorite book that you've read over and over?
Well, I don't do much rereading just because I have so many books that I'm trying to get to, and but my favorite book that really stuck with me was It, definitely. That book was such a triumph for me to finish, but when I did finish it, it was like I was blown away. It's horror, but it's also a lot of other genres. It's like drama, and it's, coming of age. But there was a couple scenes that I got like warm and fuzzy when like Bill, I think it was after the battle with Pennywise when they were kids. And I do think it's towards the end of the books because it goes back and forth. There's a scene where he's like looking over the barrens and it's the end of the summer. And I don't know why, but it just gave me chills just remembering growing up in Maine, because I never read the book as a kid, but the miniseries I saw so young that it was like ingrained in my DNA. And Pennywise was like the scariest thing ever. And reading the book really just, that's probably the movie I've seen the most out of any movie ever was the original It. And the book just blew me away. I love his, what's it called? The origin story of him coming down from space, all that. I love that. It blew me away. Just everything about it really stuck with me. And I've started doing a reread. I actually have it on Audible. I have it on Kindle. I have the paperback, hardcover. I have a bunch of art that I've done. I actually just recently got the record of the original soundtrack from the original movie, the miniseries. I just love everything about it.
You got some buddies behind you, yeah.
I've got a couple buddies up here. These are the new ones, which are cool. My sister bought that for me, but I really prefer the Pennywise one. Although I did like the redo of them. They were pretty good. But yeah, that book really just made an impact.
See, I'm frightened of clowns and spiders, so
Yeah, that's perfect.
it's kind of like, yeah. Obviously, I've read it and I've watched it, but I could not have them in my house. Nope, not for £1 million. Horrible.
That's funny.
Okay, Tim, have you got something that you've read over and over?
Actually, It is actually my favorite that I've read and listened to probably about 4 or 5 times now. But I'll pick something else because Joshua already picked it. I'll go with American Psycho.
Okay.
Yeah, that book by Bret Easton Ellis I've read probably about 2 or 3 times as well, and it's a really like mind fuck that book and that movie. It's really good, just the way it's written, just like the social commentary of that era, and just like some really especially the book, not so much the movie, but there's just some nasty things that happen in that book. I don't know if you guys have ever read it, but
I've not read it. I've seen the movie. I've not read it though. But I think I like the sound of it.
Yeah, the book is like there's some surprising things that happen in there. So I would have to say that's probably one of my favorite horror books to go back and revisit, just because of it's just got so much going on in it, and intellectually it's nice. It's a nice read, and then just like from the horror aspect, it's got just another element to it. So.
Would you say that was more like a Thomas Harris, like Silence of the Lambs kind of vibe to it?
Yeah, kind of. It's weird. It's more like I would say it's just more like literary fiction than it is even like a thriller. but because it's mostly about like what's going on in like 1980s New York, among like rich people, and like thematically just like who they are and what they're about. And it's more about that than it is about, you know, him going around murdering people and you know, feeding them to rats and like all the crazy stuff that he does in that book. So but yeah, I mean it, and then just the end is just, the twist at the end is great as well. So if you've seen the movie, it's similar, but definitely the book is and it's written in first person, so it's like from his perspective, whereas, you know, the movie definitely follows him around scene to scene, but like you get more of those like Patrick Bateman isms, and it's just a fun read. Definitely check it out if you haven't read it.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
That's going on the TBR list. Which now just goes on forever.
The ever great. Have you got Kindle Unlimited, Lou?
I actually just stopped it. I had it for a long time, but and then I found all I was reading was Kindle Unlimited books, and I was ignoring all the other books that I had. So I stopped it. I might go back.
Yeah, mine's just ridiculous now, especially because quite a few of yours are on Kindle Unlimited in the UK. So every time I go on, I'm like, I'll get another one of yours. Okay, Lou, what have you read over and over?
I knew this question was coming, and I'm still not ready. I'm going to go with Relics by Sean Hudson. So I'm a big Sean Hudson fan, and I could read all his books over and over again, but Relics is one that has stayed with me. Yeah, that guy. I like him because he kind of reads like a B movie, which is my kind of style. So quite gory, completely ridiculous, which is what like Relics Hunter is. Yes, I think that's why I love Hunter as well.
Right, so
and there's a bit in Relics towards the end where it's all right if I give it away, right? You guys gonna read it?
Yeah. Spoil it, it's fine.
Spoiler alert. In order to save the day, this guy has to kill a load of kids, and you're like, he's not gonna go there, is he? He's not. Oh, he went there.
Nice.
Yeah. And every time I finish it, I think, oh, I want to read that again.
It explains a lot about you. So he kills kids. Does he kill a dog?
Not in that one.
Okay, because that's what drives people mad, isn't it? It's like, kids, yeah, that's fine. Don't you dare kill the dog, though.
That's the worst.
Always, that's it. People are absolutely crazy, don't they? Don't kill the dog. Okay, so my book that I've read, I think at least 4, if not 5 times, is Desperation. I absolutely love that book, and I couldn't even tell you why. It's just one of those, that's my comfort Stephen King book. So if I'm ever in a bit of a rut, and I'm like, even though I've got millions of things to read, I'm like, I want to read something that I just know where it's going. It's Desperation. But I've only read Regulators once, I think. So I really should go back and read that one as well. So it's just brilliant. The movie, though, sucks, I think.
I love Ron Perlman, though. He's fantastic in it.
I don't know whether it's because I love the book so much that it wasn't what I saw, you know, and I've read it so many times, and I read it quite young again, so I had all these like visions in my mind of what it should be like, and then when we watched the movie I was really excited, like, yay, they've made a movie. Oh, I don't like it.
Does that one have the connection to the Dark Tower? Was that the one, Desperation? Because I've heard that's a good one that should be included with your Dark Tower read. Have you read the Dark Tower yet, Janine?
I haven't. I've seen the movie. I haven't read the book. It's got absolutely nothing to do with it.
So yeah, Desperation. Yeah, it does connect to the Dark Tower. Yeah, the evil entity in that, Pact, is like the same, basically the same thing as Pennywise. Like they come from like the same
Okay.
They're like
Okay.
related somehow in like that universe. And then
Oh,
if you
okay.
read, yeah, if you read like Regulators, because Regulators is like
Yeah.
the mirror book for
Yep.
Desperation. It's like the same characters, they're just all in like a completely different situation, and but it's the same villain. It's that creature, and it kind of explains like the parallel universes and the twinners. I'm sure you've heard that term
Oh yeah.
in like the Dark Tower. So like it kind of explains that stuff too. So a lot of the stuff that's outside of the Dark Tower, it relates to the Dark Tower, but it's not that are like directly related to the Dark Tower, like Insomnia. I don't know if you guys have read that, where like,
Just finished it, yeah, the other day. I just finished that one.
yeah, so like the Crimson King is like actually in it,
Yep.
and same thing with like Black House.
Yep.
So like there's more books that are like directly related to the Dark Tower than others, but Desperation's kind of like a loose relation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I never realised that, but if it is just because it's like the same kind of like place where they've come from, then I probably wouldn't
Yeah.
have picked up on that. But yeah, Attack is great.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dark Tower
it's a
was
great
amazing.
book. I love Dark Tower. I actually am wearing a Dark Tower shirt.
Yay!
Yeah, that whole series
Love
just
it.
blew my mind. That's what really like
Yeah.
once I finished it, I just started like reading everything I could get my hands on because it just the depths he goes into with that and the meta-ness and just everything about it just is really insane and it's not like nothing you'll ever read.
No, it's definitely not. Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. I've read that series probably about 3 times as well, and yeah, I love them. The movie not so much,
No.
but
No, not at all.
I still enjoy watching the movie just because I feel like it's the only adaptation we'll ever get of it. Just because they've been trying to like do a good proper adaptation forever, but they just can't get it. They actually shot a television pilot for it. It's supposed to be on Prime, and they didn't go ahead with it. So I kind of want to see it though. It's shot somewhere available.
Yeah, the casting was good. I thought it was going to be awesome. And I'm so bummed that they canceled it because it looked like it was actually starting in book 4, which is like a tale of Roland the Gunslinger going back in time, like when he was a young guy, and they were going to actually do it proper, not like this. What the Dark Tower movie was nothing to do with anything, you know.
Combined
they
7
said
books.
it's like another turn of the wheel and it's some other thing, but that is a bunch of bullcrap.
Yeah, they're just trying to cram like 7 books worth of content into one movie, and it was just kind of a mess. But
Yeah.
again, like it's the only thing we'll probably ever get, so I still own it and watch it occasionally.
Anyway, this took
Awesome.
a deep turn.
No, that's cool.
Desperation.
I don't think. Yeah, I've got behind there. That's all the King books. I don't even think I own the Dark Tower. Or
No,
any
you-
of. How
when
many
you start,
are there?
You start with the Gunslinger. It's
There's
like
7.
Yeah.
I didn't really
And
care
8.
for the Gunslinger that much when I first read it, but book 2 picks up a lot, and book 3 and so on. And then you'll really gain an appreciation for the whole series when you finish it. And you know, it's one of those things that you'll become a Tower junkie immediately.
Yeah.
You have to. It's like a rule.
Fair enough. Not that I've
And-
got a million other books to read.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you're a Stephen King fan, because like in the Dark Tower itself, like there's characters that are in his other books that like pop up out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, I wondered what happened to this character after Salem's Lot or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool how he does stuff like that.
That is cool. So you kind of read it and you're going, I know you. I
Yeah,
recognise you.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like revisiting with old friends.
Definitely. Oh, I like the sound of it. Yeah, I think. Oh, I'll have to add it to the list.
Yeah, it's a journey though. It's definitely a journey, but
Yeah.
it's like Joshua said, it's well worth it once you finish that last book. And even there's an 8th book too that like bridges the gap between the 4th and the 5th one. It's not like necessary to the story. You don't have to read it, but even that, once you do read it, it's enjoyable as well.
Yeah, I'm actually reading that one right now because I wanted to get back to that group again. I've been saving it, and I actually just started reading it recently, a couple days ago too. It's The Wind Through the Keyhole.
Yep.
So yeah, absolutely, it's great. Awesome series.
I could talk about Dark Tower all day, but you guys probably don't want to do that.
I know. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Halloween stuff then, which we've kind of touched on a bit anyway. But Joshua, have you got a favourite Halloween-themed book or something that to you just evokes the season that you have to read around this time of year?
I have it somewhere, but this one, I'm sure you all know, The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
There's actually, I think there's an animated movie that they made a while back too. That's another great, another one. But I'm also reading Autumn Crow by Cameron Taney right now, and that's been a blast
Good
so
choice.
far. Yeah, and anytime Halloween's brought up in any book, I just get all warm and fuzzy because fall's my favorite time of year. This year we're actually having a really early fall. It's a lot of leaves have fallen. It's chilly. I love it. I can't get enough. So yeah, I love anything that's mentioned. I'm trying to think of any other books that go into Halloween, but yeah, no, Ray Bradbury and yeah, any of those are really some of my favorites. Yeah, that's my favorite one so far.
Awesome. What about a movie? Well, I know you've already mentioned actually Halloween, but is there anything else that you watch around?
Hocus Pocus. I love that movie. That movie is just like drenched in Halloween, and
I love Hocus Pocus.
Not a movie, but a series in Erie, Indiana, also has that same vibe of like, it's not necessarily Halloween oriented, but it's just the best. Like, yeah, exactly. And Are You Afraid of the Dark? One of my favorite episodes on there. I think it was The Monkey's Paw. That took place on Halloween as well. That series that was also one of my big introductions to horror. Was every Saturday night watching Snick and going into the basement and putting it on the TV, and the music still to this day gives me chills. Like theme song and little kids laughing in the background.
And like the swing set, like the swing set that. Oh man, that used to get me
like
as well.
Mannequin. He's just like. I love it. I watch it sometimes on YouTube just to. But
Same.
Yeah, I got seasons 1 through 5, but season 2, I took too long to buy it, and now it's no longer. It's like $100 or something for it. Like it's a hot commodity because I think they stopped making that. So I only have 1 through 5 and minus. But I've been showing them to my kids and stuff, slowly introducing them to like Goosebumps. Now my son, I got my Goosebumps shirt on, but the son's like, "Hey, can we watch Goosebumps?"
Oh, yay!
Like I gotta get him, and he's only 3, so he loves
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are those DVDs or are they Blu-rays? Those.
These are the Blu-rays.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I wanted the whole set that looks like this because I love how it looks. I don't like the whole flashy, So I wanted these ones, and I'm probably gonna have to get the second season sometime and just spend the money because I hate having series and not having it complete.
Right.
Like I'm trying to collect all the Goosebumps books for my kids, and I've been lucky. A lot of my friends and stuff have been like finding theirs in storage and giving them to me and stuff. But yeah, I want to introduce them to all the good horror stuff that I watched as a kid. And yeah, so Hocus Pocus, Casper is another good one. That takes place on Halloween. That's one of my faves. Yeah, those are some great movies. I love them.
I gotta find those Blu-rays because I was obsessed with Are You Afraid of the Dark as well. So I'm gonna try to track them down.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'll pay $100 for it, but.
I know. I think there is cheaper editions, but I wanted the ones that match this edition, so I'm like screwed because I waited too long.
Maybe Black Friday might have it somewhere.
There you go.
Wait for that. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Tim, what about you? Book and movie. What evokes Halloween for you?
I'm a really big fan of Bradbury, so Something Wicked is like one of my favorite annual reads. I try to either read it or listen to it. Yeah, listen to it on audiobook just because it captures one of the things that Bradbury does is just he captures the atmosphere so well. Same thing with Halloween Tree. It's just he just drenches you with all of that, and it's so good. And for a movie, I'm like a really big fan of Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I recognize it's not a great movie, but I love it.
Fair enough.
It's
Disclaimer.
disclaimer.
Don't judge me.
Yeah. But I love it, and I watch it at least once every October, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times. And yeah, it's just like constantly on in the background. But I don't know, it's just a fun movie, and it's ridiculous, and the plot is ridiculous, but I just love the imagery. I love that whole like putting the mask on the kids to like brainwash them, and it's just such like a sinister thing, and it's got like really good Halloween imagery in it as well. So definitely a must watch every year.
What about you with kid stuff? Have you introduced Jack to any of the like Casper or Scooby-Doo or anything like that yet?
He likes watching like YouTube videos, and like there is one, because with his autism it's hard to like get his like attention with a lot of stuff because he's just like all over the place. But there's this one like YouTube video, and it's like it's just like a kid's song about Halloween, and he gets obsessed with that sometimes. Another thing about autism is like he'll watch the same things like over and over again. It's like very repetitive. So he will literally watch that video like all day long. So it's just like going on in the background, which I like. I love it.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah.
Lou, what about you? Favorite book and movie for this time of year?
Okay, Halloween movie's got to be Trick or Treat.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is basically Halloween in a film.
Yeah.
And like I said last time, Sam is adorable. So, so I need to get myself. Yeah, he's even cute with the mask off. So I need to get myself a Sam from Trick or Treat and a demon from the gate, and that's it. I'm sorted.
And you're sorted.
And as for a book, I went for a stage a few years ago of reading Dracula every Halloween. So I think that's going to be my pick. It's a bit of a heavy read, but I still really enjoy it.
Yeah, it is a heavy read, but it is a good read. And I think do you feel like quite smug when you've read it as well?
Yeah.
It's one of those books you're like, oh yeah, look at me. I don't read Stephen King just that guy. I read really fancy books as well.
It's kind of weird though, because I love Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, but I struggle a lot with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I just can't get through it.
See, I'm the opposite. I love Frankenstein. I've read that probably 3 or 4 times, but Dracula has always been a tough read for me. I don't know why.
I've read them both, but I think Dracula I've read 2 or 3 times, and Frankenstein I think I was the same just once, and it was a bit like I'm gonna read it because I've got to say I've read it.
For me, with Frankenstein, there just seemed to be whole chapters where nothing happened. I was like, come on.
Yeah, filler chapters by the bucket load. Okay, so for me, the book that just evokes Halloween is the same as has been mentioned, but Autumn Crow by our good friend Cameron. It's just perfect, and it is like Eerie, Indiana, or Are You Afraid of the Dark, or one of those. It's like that in a story. It's fantastic. Yeah. It's just everything about it, but also the Hocus Pocus story is really good as well. And I didn't think that I was going to, because the film again is one of my most favorite movies, so I didn't think that I would enjoy the book as much, but it's one that I've read the last couple of years. And I think most movie-wise, most things have already been mentioned. I've put the original Halloween. We always watch that one. And then I watched a film day before, called Holidays. Have any of you seen that?
Is that the one with the creepy Easter Bunny Jesus?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
What is this?
That is intense. Yeah.
So it's brilliant, and I did mention it to Tim that he needs to watch it. So it's an anthology film basically that goes through. You've got St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Halloween, and Christmas, and each of them are a short film written and directed by someone different, and it's brilliant, absolutely fantastic. The Easter Bunny one. It's horrendous, absolutely horrendous. It was so creepy, and just like I wanted just to like be like, I don't want to watch this. It was horrific. But then there's other ones like the Halloween one was written and directed by Kevin Smith, and it's got that whole kind of Kevin Smith vibe to it as well. I recommend that. I know, Tim, that you like anthology type things as well. You
Yeah,
need
I do.
to find. You need.
And
On,
I like Kevin Smith, so.
There you go. It's perfect. Lou, it's on Netflix. You got
I'll have
Netflix?
to check it out.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to watch it. It was fantastic. So that is going to be, even though it's only like one small bit that's got actually Halloween in it, that's definitely going to be something that I'll watch most years now, because it was just brilliant. Absolutely fantastic.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, sounds like my kind of thing.
Yeah, another film, not like that, but Ghost Stories. Have you seen that one?
Yes.
Is that the British one?
It's the British
one.
Yeah.
Again, just that is excellent. Just the way that it's told, and so anything like that. We quite often have, I mean, I imagine you do as well, sort of like just short ghost story specials and things on actual Halloween nights as well. And I think like listening to those old kind of like the M.R. James stories or Edgar Allan Poe, when people sort of just sat in the chair with the fire on behind reading those kind of stories, that's always really good as well. Just it's like a proper ghost story. It's either Halloween or Christmas. That's what you want. Yeah, proper old-fashioned ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go to bed thinking, no,
turn all the lights on.
Oh, I can do this. I'm big and brave.
I want to do an honorable mention for kind of a surprise show is the Gilmore Girls. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but man, that
I love the Gilmore Girls. I love it.
That town is like the epitome of the perfect like Halloween fall setting. Is amazing. I want to live there all the time. Like their decorations, like every single house is like perfectly decorated. The gazebo in the middle of the town. I mean, it just makes me feel.
Hollow, isn't it?
Huh?
Stars Hollow, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so, something like that. I mean, maybe not the whole series, but when it does take place in the fall, it's just so like, it's cozy. You just want to like go there with a cup of cocoa and a sweater.
Definitely. That's what in my mind, that is what your American towns are like. But I know it's not
exactly
really
what it's like
that.
everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah. Jersey doesn't come under New England, does it? Or is it?
No, we're like our own thing. we're like our own country. Yeah.
Me being a bit ignorant of my American geography. So but you're close to New York though, yeah? I'm trying to think. I can't quite place where Jersey is.
Right underneath New York. Yeah, I'm about like an hour and a half from New York City, so.
Yeah. And actually, it's not. I mean, it seems like we're probably, I'd say, 8 to 9 hours away from like New York City here in Maine. I mean, we can drive to Boston and Salem. Salem's like a 2-hour drive, 2.5-hour drive. It's really not bad. Which in Maine, it seems like everywhere is like tonight we're going to Ellsworth. That's about a 2-hour drive. Not the way I drive. It'll be like an hour and a half, but. I mean, Bangor from here is like an hour, a little over an hour, and everything just is spread out. But it's kind of hard when you look at it on a map to kind of put it into perspective, like how far driving distance and stuff. So
Maine's huge. Yeah. One of my favorite vacations was going to Maine. We went to York, which is like south. South. Oh, it was like one of my favorite vacations. That place was beautiful. I love it up there in New England as well. Like I wish I could move up there, but I don't think I would deal with the snow very well. Like we get snow down here, but it's like hit or miss. So some years we get like pounded, and some years, like last year, we didn't have snow at all. So it's but I love it up there during the fall. It's like the best time just to be up there with the leaves falling, and just I like the fall nights, like 50 degrees nights are like my favorite.
Yeah, we have a game here in Maine where you go as long as you can before you turn on the thermostat. And of course, having kids now, like our kids sleep upstairs, so we put the thermostat upstairs at like 65 degrees, but we still have all our air conditioners in because you never know if, like, we've had 80 degrees in October.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's, but this year, I'm pretty sure we're pretty much done with it because it's been a few years since it's been like this beautiful and cool in September. It's usually really still warm.
Yeah.
I remember when our son was born in August, it seemed like summer never ended until like late October. But this year, I couldn't ask for better weather. I mean, I've been outside all the time, but summertime, I stay inside in the air conditioning. I can't stand the heat.
Same.
Don't do it. Miserable.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I would love to go to Maine. It just looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Hunter, a lot of people like Hunter.
Yeah.
He wants to move to Maine. He says he used to come up here on vacation all the time.
Yeah.
Couple other authors I've talked to have mentioned wanting to move up here as well. And I mean, it's a great place if you want to, write and have, quiet. It depends on where you live too. A lot of the coast gets swamped with tourists every summer. Even this summer, I mean, people can't keep themselves away, but I live further up. I live about an hour from the coast, near Augusta, the capital, and we're kind of in the middle. Like, it's about a 45-minute drive to Portland, a little over an hour to Bangor. I love it. I've lived here my whole life. I was born right in Augusta. A lot of cool history, with the old, because it's so old. I mean, you hear of like haunted houses and haunted graveyards and all kinds of, like, we have like a Devil's Rock not too far away in Manchester, the next town over, which is like this huge rock that was supposedly in the middle of the road, and someone wanted to move it to build the road, and he prayed to the devil or somebody, and the next day the rock was moved, and then the guy disappeared. It's really cool. A lot of legends like that just, I love that kind of stuff.
It's awesome.
So it's really fun. A lot of old cemeteries, 1800s, and it's really neat. It is a cool place.
See, that's not old to us, though.
Right, I know. Yeah, it is for us because
I'm joking. Yeah.
We're such a young country.
I know. I've only been sort of that area. I've only been to Boston. Been there a couple of times. And when we went to Boston, we travelled to Salem as well. But just I could move. If somebody said to me, "Move to Boston tomorrow," I'd go. Absolutely love that area. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
It's nice city. It's a nice place to go.
It is, definitely. Yep. Have you been to America, Lou?
I have once when I was about 11 or 12, and we just went to Florida and did all the theme parks.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Yeah.
I would like to go back one day. Well,
we were booked to go to Florida in May, and obviously that didn't happen. And then we were going to go in December, and that's not happening. But we've now rebooked for next June. Hopefully, that will be our 10th trip to Disney. So yeah. Yes, we do like Florida.
Too hot in Florida.
Okay. Oh, I couldn't live there. There's no way I could live there. And actually, I didn't realise how many crazy people live in Florida either. And that was speaking with Glenn when he said about that he'd been to nearly all of the states, but never Florida. And he said, whenever you see something on the news, like a woman has like shoved like chicken nuggets up her ass or something like that, it's always someone in Florida.
Florida man. I can't believe nobody's written like a series about Florida man and just like posted true stories that really happened. Because I mean, it's stranger than fiction. You couldn't compete with Florida man and the craziness that happens now. It's like 2020. trying to write
It's
about
amazing.
2020,
Yeah.
it would sound unrealistic to people that didn't live through it.
That's just what because I thought Florida was mainly made up of transplants as well, people that had like retired down there from all over the place. So why is it full of crazies?
The heat, I think it's the
The
heat. I
heat,
really
yeah,
do.
Yeah.
The further south you go, I mean, in most places it gets a little on edge. People just, I think it's the heat. I mean, same thing with like most of the
Cooks your brain.
equator states and all that. You get up north and people are more relaxed and chill, and we just, especially in like Maine and New England and that whole area, we just mind our own business and stay out of trouble. And you go to Florida, and I mean, it's just like the Wild West down there. It's just,
It's the humidity. Oh, I
Gotta
can't
be.
stand how it's like you
Ugh.
walk out and your hair's like woo as soon as you
Yeah.
like walk out. Yeah.
It's so
Very-
humid this year too, and
Yeah.
up here. It was
It
bad.
was very humid. Very
Don't
hot.
like it. Don't like it.
So how long are your winters in Jersey then? Because I know in Maine you have winter for like 6 months of the year, don't you? So it seems
Yeah,
to be
it's-
like winter for a
It
long
really
time.
depends. Like, sometimes it starts like early in like November, and then like the latest it runs to is like the beginning of April sometimes. I mean, we've gotten snow in April before. But typically it's like usually December to March, like beginning of March, mid-March. But it's different every year.
Not quite as brutal as Maine weather then, where you're digging yourself
No.
out of the snow.
Yeah, you guys get way too much snow up there. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's intense. The hardest part is the oil bill and heating the house.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people burn wood and stuff, but we, with the young ones, we have this nice wood stove that it's like efficient and it blows out the heat, so the heat doesn't just escape out of the chimney. But with the young ones just being wild, so we haven't used that in a while, so we just use the heater and the oil, and I mean it's like $500-600 every 3 to 4 weeks, so we keep it at
Oh
like
my God.
68 degrees all winter long because. And then you get the old people that are like, oh, I'm going to keep my house at 75 degrees all winter. You go in their house and it's like a blast furnace, and you're like, damn, man, like, what are you doing? How can you afford that?
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Yeah.
wear more jumpers, more sweaters. I think that's the way.
Right. Put some clothes on.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think we didn't have any snow here at all last year. Did you have any where you are, Lou?
No, I don't think we did. No, you
No
mention it.
snow at all. It's just rubbish.
That's kind of disappointing.
It is, too.
Oh,
Like, winters
yeah.
without snow is like, it's just drab and cold, and
Yeah.
it's if it's gonna be that kind of weather, why not have some snow on the ground? It just
Yeah.
Do it properly.
pretty
That's
scenery.
it, definitely. There's nothing more disappointing than waking up on Christmas morning and it's sunny. Like,
Yeah.
really? No, that's not how it works. What's going on?
But you're doing it wrong.
Okay, well, that's all the questions that we had. As our guests, did either of you have anything else that you wanted to talk about or mention, or anything that you wanted to plug for all of our millions of listeners? Joshua, anything that you can tell us about what you're working on at the moment?
Well, so far, this is my first book I've written, Scratches. I started writing it back in February, and I self-published. I was going to go the traditional publishing route and start sending it off. Then I learned like it's damn near impossible to, traditionally publish a novella unless you like find the exact right time when they have open submissions for it. So I decided to go the self-publishing route, and it's done really well. People like it. I'm actually working on editing it for a second edition, and I'm also writing a prequel right now, and people seem to enjoy it. They feel like it has some people have compared it to like Goosebumps or stuff early on, but then it takes a really dark, not Goosebumps twist, towards the middle.
Super dark
towards the end.
turn.
Yeah.
No, nothing
Don't let
like
the kids read
Goosebumps
it,
in the middle.
Definitely. but I really enjoy it. I've written several short stories, which I've submitted to a few places, and if those don't get picked up, I'll probably just do some kind of anthology or something with them because they're great stories. Janine's read a bunch of them, and yeah, I have some plans for other stuff to keep writing. It's kind of a hobby of mine where I'm staying home with my kids. I stay home with my two sons as a stay-at-home dad. So I was reading a lot, and I actually read Kings on Writing, and just kind of got inspired. I'm like, man, I really should start doing this thing. It's something I've always enjoyed writing, but I've never thought, I could write some books. I could write, stories. And now that I've started doing it, it's like, like an addiction. You start doing it, and then you get all these different ideas and stuff. And, I met Richard Chismar up in Bangor for his book signing for Gwendy's Magic Feather. And then around the same time last year, Joe Hill came up to Bangor, and I got to meet him just a few feet away in the front row for Full Throttle. And just listening to them talk about their joy of writing and how they were inspired and just kind of like just did it. You just got to do it. Kind of just pushed me over the edge, and I'm like, I'm going to do this thing. So I ended up buying like a little writing laptop and just started doing it. So that was my first book, and I have some other ones that are probably going to be coming out. So keep an eye out for them. And if you check them out, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Tim, I know you're a man of many secrets at the moment, but what can you actually tell us?
I don't even know what I can talk about. No. I have yesterday I just posted a new cover for a re-release of the Switch House that's coming out probably in October sometime. Oh, thanks. Yeah, Don Noble did the cover art. Did a great job for it. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm actually going to put out a hardback through my own like little micro press that I run. So that's going to be kind of an experiment. So I hope it comes out good. And then I have a short story that's appearing in Midnight in the Pentagram from Silver Shamrock. Pretty excited for that anthology. It's gonna be
amazing. The TLC on that is like, whoa!
I know it's pretty awesome. There's another anthology that's coming out in November called One of Us. It's a charity anthology for a friend who passed away last year, Frank Michaels Arrington. He was a pretty big book reviewer. So I donated a story to that. I believe all the proceeds go to I think some animal adoption agency. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. So that'll be pretty awesome. The TOC for that, they're still announcing people, and so I can't like talk about who's all going to be in there, but there's some like huge names in that, and I'm pretty excited to be a part of that as well.
Todd Kiesling's in that one, isn't he?
Yeah, Todd's in it.
That's all I've seen so far. I didn't even know that you were in that one, so that's awesome.
I have like a short story, and then we since I was pretty close with Frank as a reviewer, I actually got to meet him a few times, which is pretty awesome. He came to like a few of our book signings that we do every year, and so I wrote like a little, it was just like a short 1,000-word, just like a story about how Frank and I first met. So that'll be in the anthology as well. Yeah, so it'll be cool. It'll be a very awesome anthology. I hope a lot of people check that out. Book-wise, I have a book coming out in February from Grindhouse Press called Paradise Club.
Which amazing.
Thanks. Which is it was a novel I actually wrote for Patreon last year, and it was kind of like an experimental novel where the Patreons got to kind of help choose what happened in the story. It was kind of like a choose your own adventure story, but people got to vote on it. Yeah. So it was pretty fun. It turned out pretty good. So Grindhouse is putting that out, which I'm pretty excited because I love working with them. And then also next June, I have my big novel, Malignant Summer.
Huge novel.
Yeah, which is 200,000 words, and took me all of 2019 to write that. So it's being edited right now, and I can't wait for that to come out because I think that's probably the best thing that I've ever written, and it's a pretty personal story as well. It actually takes place in like a fictionalized version of my hometown of Toms River, New Jersey, in the 90s when a lot of kids were getting sick from cancer because a local chemical plant was dumping toxins into the ground. And so like a lot of my friends got sick, and it was just
goodness.
a bad situation. So that's kind of like the backdrop, a fictionalized version of that. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
So is that Red River? Is that the town that you're using?
So like, Red River is kind of like a fictional. It's a town that appears in a lot of my novels. It's in there. I actually did like another town that's like next to Red River. So Red River plays like a role in Malignant Summer, but the other town is called Hooperstown, and that's like where the main setting is taking place. So, but the Red River is actually like in my hometown of Toms River. There's an actual Toms River that runs through the town, and so like the Red River actually runs through Hooperstown as well. So so it's kind of just like a fictionalized version of the real Jersey Shore place.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Right.
I think that's it. That's it. There's probably more I'm forgetting.
That's all you can tell us about anyway.
Yes. He's a man that's not allowed to say as much as we want him to.
I will say though, keep an eye out for the Nightworms announcement on Monday though.
Yes. If this is all out on Monday, if not, you did see it on Monday.
Not, then you probably already know about it. Don't worry about that.
Yes, we'll make sure that we link up all the like down below, all the links for both of your social medias and the Nightworms. And I'm actually really angry about it because it costs like $25 or something to send over here. So I decided that I was going to treat myself to the October one, the Creep It Real Nightworms package, which I'm still going to be pleased about, and it costs me like $65 or something with shipping and all that kind of stuff. And now all of a sudden the November one has got something to do with not at all impressed.
Yeah, shipping across. I feel bad because like people do ask me, to ship books out of the country, and I'm like, I don't mind doing it, but it's just it's so expensive. And when I tell them the rates, it's like, oh, they don't want to do it. So it's unfortunate. I wish it was cheaper to send stuff overseas, but
yeah, $25 seems to be the flat rate from US to UK for some reason.
Yeah,
it's about the same going the other way as well.
It is, yeah. I posted something. I posted Cameron just a couple of books that I'd found on eBay in the UK, some of the vintage stuff that he wanted, and it cost me £17. So yeah, like $20 just to send 2 small paperbacks. And I was like, it cost me more to send it than it did to buy the books.
Yeah. And
I shipped a paperback of scratches to a reviewer up in Alberta, Canada, and it was $20 for shipping.
Yeah.
What?
And she covered the shipping.
Could have thrown it.
No, Alberta's actually way over.
Meet you at the border.
It's more Vancouver side.
Yeah, and she it was damaged. Like the whole bottom of the book was damaged and stuff, and I was like, man, they should have like hand carried it for that much money, you know what I mean? Like,
on the
pillow. Unreal.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's your postal system, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like somebody's trying to do something with your postal system. I won't say what. Okay, well, that was really brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. Have you got anything else that you want to add just at the very end? Or are you all happy with everything that has been covered?
I'm happy.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys. This has been fun. I love it. I love chatting with you Brits. My buddy Ross, I chatted with him a couple of weeks ago, and you guys are awesome. We love you guys over here. Hope you guys can make it to, if you ever make it to New England in the future, please hit me up. We'll get together and hang out and have some pumpkin spice.
Yes.
We'll hold you to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you both.
We lose Janine.
Is Janine frozen? I just thought she was really deep in thought.
Oh, she's gone.
Okay, we'll just imagine she's said bye.
You can edit that in post, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, well, thanks again.
All right, thank you.
Right, thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, there's Janine.
Oh, she's back.
I'm back. Did I freeze? Oh,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, Janine. Bye.
Bye.